Okay, yeah, okay. So, okay. I think I wrote down some of this for my video. Okay. I do want to emphasize that it is too early to fully judge this, but I just want to point out that it's weird. And if it never gets brought up in like the next chapter or the next time this conversation continues or anything of that nature, it's especially weird that they included overemphasized this. So what is Amado saying here? Akabi's data, which I added to your karma, Kawaki. What has Amado done? He's revealed the fact that he knows who Kawaki is. Like, he knows Kawaki has this stuff. This is news to Kawaki. This is the first time he's ever heard someone know the truth about him. He doesn't even seem like he knows about Sarada and Sumire yet. But even if he did, Amado is like, this is just brand new news. Like, somebody figured out and or is immune to omnipotence as far as Kawaki's concerned. And he doesn't seem to care, be surprised, or anything. Now, you can argue like Kawaki's just in general doesn't care if people find out, or that he's too preoccupied, distracted by Amado adjusting his power. It might be a character a flaw that Kawaki just overlooks this detail. Maybe he'll ask about next chapter. There's a lot of things, but like at the end of the day, in this chapter, Kawaki had no reaction, unlike Sumire, who was freaking out, and Sarada freaking out about the fact that Amado knew the truth. Kawaki has no reaction. It's as if he already knew this, but he didn't know that. So again, it's not like when Boruto says, "Oh, Amado limited your power" or whatever back in the day. Kawaki wasn't like, "Wait, does he know about omnipotence or something?" Like, he's not asking these questions. This should be weird to him. He should be like, "Why do you know this, Amado?"
So I have two explanations for you. One that's more likely that you're not gonna like. One that's less likely that you'll like.
I love how that's always the truth. The more likely one you won't like, the less likely one you will like. That's how this series rules.
Yeah. So which one do you want me to start? I'll start with the more likely one since it's easier. The most likely explanation, Ikimoto forgot. Which happens to be the explanation for a lot of things recently. It is most likely you're not gonna like that answer. He's just not. It's not that Kawaki's not considering it. It's the one writing Kawaki isn't considering it.
Yeah, it's just giving Kawaki reader knowledge that Kawaki doesn't have.
Yeah, like he's just recapping and not considering the consequences.
Yeah.
The less likely explanation that you're not gonna like as much. There's a couple ways to go about this, so don't just stop me at like my first one. The first I'll say is it's possible this conversation has technically happened hundreds of times, because if assuming he is affected by omnipotence, then he would just say this and then forget. Potentially.
Well, no, okay. I am gonna stop you there, sorry. Because we know this conversation hasn't happened 100 times, because when Sumire heard it in chapter 5, it was clearly the first time she'd heard it.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
It doesn't. I don't think Sumire's forgetting every single time or whatever. And same as Shikamaru and Sai. Like everyone's like, it's the first time you've heard this. So it's Sumire's pretty much always with Amado. There's not a chance that Amado's been secretly meeting with Kawaki without ever being around Sumire or Katasuke or whoever, or Sai watching. All the people that are assigned to constantly watch Amado. Like someone's always with him. He's not just allowed to meet with Kawaki in secret. It's one of the reasons why I think it's impossible for Amado to have done the limiter shit over the time skip rather than pre-time skip. He's not able to get away with that.
Sure. Another possibility. So again, this is under the assumption that Amado just is under omnipotence, or at the very least that Kawaki and Sumire are going to take him at his word that he is and just full-heartedly believe it, is that Amado doesn't care about omnipotence. He doesn't care about Kawaki or Boruto. He cares about that karma seal. So it doesn't really matter how it got on Kawaki, as Amado explains in like chapter 4 or whatever you said chapter it was. So we would just go back to that chapter to see his explanation for like, oh yeah, it's weird, but like, because I'm under omnipotence, but can't say that because I don't know that exists. This is how I view this.
Well, again,
And then that's how Kawaki.
I agree. However, this is still the first time Kawaki's heard anyone know this about him.
So I get that.
No, the issue is you could interpret it as just like everyone knowing that Kawaki just has Ishiki's powers and stuff. That like to him it's just like when people know that he has ninja tech. But this is a specific thing that is still the first time he's heard.
So I guess the way around that is he's saying I added to your karma rather than I added to that karma on you. So that would be a counter against my point.
That too, but regardless, I mean, again, you could just argue Kawaki's just treating it as when Shikamaru used to hound him about Momoshiki being gone and shit, to where it's just like, oh, it's just another one of those things. But like, as far as Kawaki's concerned, nobody's known that he has Amado's reconstructed karma.
Yeah, but I think from Kawaki's perspective, especially about Amado, he thinks Amado doesn't give two shits about him. So in fact, Amado's not talking about him. He's talking about his karma still anyways. So it's almost like validating it. So it's not about finding out about omnipotence because he doesn't care about Kawaki. He only cares about the karma still, which is what he's talking about. I think that could be how
which is like
he's thinking about it.
Well, and I agree with that. It's just like, to an extent though, I feel like Kawaki should be thinking,
I agree with you.
How did you figure that out?
For the record, I'm just trying to make a defense for it. But...
No, I know, and I agree. Like I said, for the most part, I fully understand Kawaki just not really caring for a lot of reasons, but he should be wondering, how do you know that in the first place? And Amado could just say his bullshit, oh, I can just tell by looking at your karma. And he would say, Amado, I haven't seen you in 3 years. When did you see my karma? And Amado would be like, I was watching you through Delta. Why were you watching me through Delta? Because I knew you had my karma. How did you know that? Because I'm immune to omnipotence, okay? Like...
well, I mean, I don't think Kawaki would hound him that hard, considering what he was saying earlier. Like, yeah, I don't care that you've been using my body, but that stops now.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. But like, still though, but he should be concerned about like. That's the problem. Is Kawaki doesn't care about anything
I
that isn't killing
agree,
Utsuki. But
in a way, I'm glad we didn't get it, because if we did, we would have got recap of what? Amado's explanation from chapter 4 or whatever, where he's saying, oh, the reason I know this is because I'm a scientist and I imbue my science mark everywhere like every scientist, and I don't want to hear all that again. So, even though that's what should be said here, because Kawaki should be questioning it, and that's what he would be saying, we've already taken. If anything, you should remove it from the first scene and add that here. Thoughts?
Kind of. Although there'd be some problem. Well, actually, no, there wouldn't be problems. You know what? Actually, okay. I've got a few things to say now that you've said that.
I woke a beast.
Oh God. Yeah, grab some popcorn. Where to start? Okay. So the first thing is just real quick. In fairness, having Kawaki press Amado about how he knows all this shit kind of takes away too much from the rest of this conversation. Like, that becomes the interesting thing to be focusing on. And then if you're just adding it, I guess you're just going to remove the Shinju part of the chapter, because this is the whole chapter at that point. Like, if you're doing that. So that's an argument against it. But coming back to your idea. Well, yeah, this just solves Shikamaru, because, well, I never even considered when you bitch! Why didn't you consider it? It's not really where we're telling you it, and just ninja knowledge. It doesn't really fix Shikamaru, but again, this goes with my Ada theory, the video I'm still working on, the 35-minute video. If omnipotence got weaker, that's why Shikamaru would consider it now. But he doesn't need Amado's stupidness to consider it. He would just consider it with his smarts anyway. Boom. So now Shikamaru's smart. Amado can just say the same thing, more or less, separately. And this is either because omnipotence is getting weaker or because Amado is immune. It doesn't matter. He just removes the Shikamaru stupidity.
Okay, I'm on board. I like this. That's an idea.
And you went, oh, where do we add this page? Oh, I don't know. Delete the white page too that has nothing on it, and delete Sumire walking into the office for an entire page with no dialogue. There's 2 whole pages to add this conversation. Considering like, how many speech bubbles can you add in a page? Like 30. I think you got it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you could have even added a speech bubble here and here of Amado talking as well.
Exactly. Just delete Sumire, put 2 more speech bubbles. Just don't even draw Amado. Just put 2 speech bubbles there.
Oh my god.